Welcome to Lost in the Desert, episode 49. I'm your co host, Kareem, and today we have a special guest, my rugby coach, Coach Chris. So, just a quick little background. Coach Chris played for Denver University, won the championship in the Super 8 League with the Denver Barbarians in 98, has been playing rugby since 88, and he just retired playing, but not coaching, this summer. How you doing, Coach?
Good. How are you?
It's nice to finally have you on. What a fucking season we had.
Yeah, the best season the Storm has ever had.
Mike Closer, yeah. I was when I joined. So I think you know the story of how I joined. Lucas and Wilson, Michael Wilson, met me at a Jello Shot fundraiser, and I was just my friend just convinced me to show up one day and got a card. Went to one of the random touch sessions, and next thing you know, I'm going back and forth with JJ, just communicating. Fucking loved the squad after that. Went to a couple of practices with Camelback actually before,
Right.
just during the off season. And next thing you know, I'm at the boot camp with 2 pulled hamstrings. So yeah, it's been an interesting season. How do you feel about it?
Uh, it started out where at the beginning of the season, I had recruited really hard during sevens, trying to get guys to come over to play, talking to guys that weren't getting playing time on other teams because we were having a really hard time getting people to join the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
And the Storm has had a history of always being a fun team, a good team to be around. But in my mind, it's not fun to be at rugby if you're losing 60-0 to somebody.
It's not fun to play any sport if you're losing.
Right. So I tried to help bring a new culture in, and over the last 5 years that I've been there, we brought in a culture of rugby first, learn the game the right way. You know, you hear me yelling it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, this is how we play. This is how we're going to win. By being able to take our guys in and teach them the basics of rugby, and then let them kind of also have their own flair at what they're best at.
Right.
Allows us to put guys in good situations, you know, so that we can have a good team. And once we got to Rucktacular last year, within the first 15 minutes of that game against the Los Angeles Rebellion, I knew it right then and there. I was like, we're winning this game. We were down by 2 tries.
San Diego, yeah, we won the first 2 games, didn't we?
That first game against the Rebellion, I was like, man, these guys are going to win this match, and we were down 2 tries. And I just seen it click with everybody where the offense was running the way it was supposed to be. Our spacing on defense was perfect. We were covering kicks. Guys were doing the right things. But what changed mostly about it was...
Sorry, Coach Mike.
They were having fun. They were having fun doing it. And the minute everybody realized they were having fun, you seen what happened.
Yeah, because we played that first game against the preseason game, Colorado Rush, right?
Correct.
When they came in. And that was, again, I was peak injured, so there was no way I was playing in that game. But when I tell you, like, it put everything into perspective because I had just heard people telling me because I had never played like a full-on proper rugby game. I had a little bit of fun in Australia when I was like studying there, but never like a full-on match. And just watching that, I said, okay, this is what I need to do because what I've been told like in practice from like other players, like what to expect, didn't click in my mind and registered. And then I saw that game. I said, oh, shit, like I got to step my game up because I have a completely different. I thought it was just going to be mostly I had my like the stamina aspect of it. I didn't see how hard people have to run and how long people have to run for because when they tell you like, oh, the clock doesn't stop. I was like, okay, cool. It's not that bad. Clock doesn't stop in soccer, but you're constantly on it. You're running.
Right.
Like no matter what position, like all the jokes about, backs not doing anything, and the forwards have to do all the work and all that. I was like, that's not really true because the backs still have to fucking run. They're going back and forth, zigzagging left and right. I said, damn.
Well, and then the offense that we run, the way that we're set up is I don't care what your position is. I'm putting players in certain areas. I try to spread the best players across the field.
Mm-hmm.
So that way we're able to build up the guys that might not be as good of a player.
Mm-hmm.
And by putting like one of our best players with one of our rookies, that rookie's able to see what he's supposed to be doing and build off of that and learn from it. Plus it helps to cover up those holes that we have both on defense and offense. But like to your point of the fitness aspect of the game, Nobody realizes how hard it is to hit somebody, roll away, get back to your feet, hit them again, roll away, get back to your feet, chase the ball 20 meters down the field, watch it go out of bounds, then have to hurry up and get in position to get line play going again.
And even if you're not hitting, like clearing the ruck, having to clear the ruck every time. If you're not the first person in the ruck. You're not the first person in the little pod who get hit, go down. Constantly having to grab people, push them off, get your teammate up, and then having to, all three of you like running. For context, for those who don't watch, who don't play rugby or don't know, for what we're talking about, it's very simple in terms of in certain our positions. You have pods, teammates that you run with on offense. Everybody gets assigned a position, and that changes. Like, you really have to communicate with your teammates saying, hey, they're going to pass me the ball, and I need you. The other two basically are protecting their teammate, right? So when we say the person who gets, hit, he's the person who catches the ball, gets hit, and clearing the ruck. When you get hit, we have to stop other people coming to take the ball, because the clock doesn't stop. It's not like football where, you go down, next thing
Yeah, you don't give 100% for 10 seconds.
Then
get another minute to rest and then do it again.
Yeah, you're not doing that. You're getting
It's
right
over,
back up
over and
over and over again. You have constant communication on the field. You have to keep talking to your pod, Your teammate goes down, right? You might have to take the slack, switch his spots. So it's constant. I want to say it doesn't, I think, require, if you've never played before, because this is like an amateur league.
Correct.
Amateur, semi-pro, you can call it, because we do a lot of travelings, a lot of match, all that. But it just requires a lot of your mental focus. And for those, we know in sports, for the most part, most people are on the same page. I'm not worried about the lights. Okay. Most people are on the same page in terms of like skill wise, but how do you think the mental aspect, really plays a part in this?
So, and I'm going to just speak from my experience. I'm a second generation rugby player. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a household where rugby was king to everything. That if Tuesday night, I knew I was going to be across the street at school with my dad, right. Rugby practice. Tuesday evening, I knew that we were going to go to O'Reilly's bar and I was going to get to play video games. Then I would come home, we get Wednesday off, go right back on Thursday, do the same thing. Then Saturday was the big day. So it became a lifestyle for me that my dad introduced me to at a young age. So now as an adult, I see it as every time I hit the gym, I'm hitting it for a purpose of how could I do this at rugby? Even though I'm not playing anymore, I'm still in my head. How can I show these guys during practice if I need to demonstrate something, how to do it and be, do it proper and do it with intensity so that they see it and not say, oh, well, he's just kind of walking through the motions. I want them to see it in the sort of impact of what it's going to be in gameplay. So to be a rugby player and to be in this lifestyle, your brain is nonstop rugby. I mean, the amount of things that you have to know on the field as far as offsides, all the rules, the way that you got to play, the way you got to get into structure, where you need to make sure that your pod is going, like in our offense, where you need to spread on defense, where you need to tell the team to pull one way or the other. There's so many things going on that when I leave from rugby practice, the next 48 hours until that next rugby practice, I'm thinking about how we can change the things that we're doing there, what new things I can introduce as far as skills to guys.
Right.
And with the Storm, because we are such a young team, a lot of this is teaching rugby. It's not actually getting to go out there and do the things that some of these bigger teams are doing, because we're teaching rugby players right now. We're not winning championships.
And what's great is that I've seen there've been a lot of rookies this year, from what I've told, like more than before. Seen a lot of people who I didn't know were rookies really just pick it up like that.
Exactly.
Like Gabe had never played rugby in his life. And Gabe, from what I understand, hasn't really played a lot of sport in his life, but you really can pick it up quickly. Just showing up to practices and honestly, you play your first game, it changes your mindset. Like exactly. When I played my first game, like anytime you guys were in practice telling us do this, do that, I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? And then you play your first game, and like, oh, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense now. So, I really urge you guys, if you've never played sport in your life, show up to a rugby practice. Show up to a Storm rugby practice, and it'll be a complete 180. You'll understand what we're talking about here.
Well, and it's not just coming out to play the sport. Once you get introduced to rugby, you've created a family bond
It's a
with these
culture.
people.
It's a
It's a
culture for
culture.
sure.
And the people that you're around, you know, there's certain people I know that don't like me, and there's certain people I don't like. But here's the thing: is we get out there on the rugby pitch, we have the one focus to win that match, and that's what
Right.
everybody's goal is.
That's
So
a shame. There's some people I really can't stand, and then you get in practice and you play. I'm like, damn, fucking brother, love
and
you.
it's
No
there's
shade.
times there's times during practice where I get frustrated at things because to me it just seems so simple and easy. But I've got to remember,
Like they haven't played.
40 years of my life I've been doing nothing but rugby, going to rugby, seeing rugby.
Right.
So then when I come around these new guys that don't understand it, I'll get frustrated. I'm like, all right, we're doing the cone drill. You get down, lay on your back. Whoever catches the ball, I'm tackling you. And I do it to be a smartass sometimes, but I also do it because
I've seen you put some unfair matchups. I've seen you put some
But
unfair matchups.
those unfair matchups though are real life. I mean, it's
yeah, I know, but
rugby is a lot like real life. If you're going for a job interview and this guy here has all the degrees and you've never worked in the field, that guy with the degrees are going to get the job that you're going for.
first of all, why is Jake tackling rookies? That should not be a fucking matchup.
That is a matchup because
I've already told
it's
all
real
this,
life.
bro. Jakin gave me whiplash. So again, you guys don't know. Jakin is this 6'1" beefy motherfucker. Sadly,
he's a big boy.
he's moved states. We miss him, but there's no way I should have been matched up with. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with? I was like,
So what the difference is though is Jakin's intensity is where it needs to be. You're still learning that intensity.
oh yeah, it transfers.
So when he hits those drills, he's hitting them. He's playing the practice like he's going to play in the game because he doesn't want to have that fall off from, oh, well, I half-assed it at practice, so now I'm going to half-ass it in the game. So as this coming into your second year, you're going to realize, hey, man, I ain't fucking going to walk through this anymore. I'm going to hit this hard. And somebody that you go up against, you're going to be like, man, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
give them a pat
100%.
on the back. And then it's going to click to them finally. Hey, you know what? When I'm here, I got to do 100%.
Yeah.
Because if your head's not on a swivel and you're not giving it 100%, that's how you get hurt.
It's a shame because Jakin was one of those players who really took me under his wing. Because when I started, him and I had this conversation, so I have no problem sharing it. Like when I started, I was like, okay, cool, intense. I'm gonna do this, and I was completely delusional. My expectation, what my expectation was, especially like where my body was at, where my mental was at, my expectation was, and Jakin gave me that humbling moment that I needed. And then when we came back for the full season, like I was a lot healthier. I feel like I had my mental in a much better space. But that before December before Octacular, I was delusional. I was fucking delusional. I thought this was gonna go one way, especially like again playing basketball as long as I have in other sports. Like I was like, oh, I got this. I'll learn this. I'll pick this up quick. No, I feel like you need to come in with a humble mindset.
Right.
It's the most important thing in life when you're doing anything new. Come in with a humble mindset. And yeah, shout out to Jakin for all of that. We really will miss him.
And it's some of those guys like the Jakins, the Chris Steers,
Big Chris.
Big Chris. Well, not so much Big Chris because he's still a second year player, but these guys that have been around since the Storm, since 2017, 2016, a lot of those guys that are still playing. Chad, you look at Marcus, you see those guys that are there and they have a passion for rugby, but then the new guys come in and some of those guys keep that intensity and then some of them fall back into the, hey, let's be relaxed because these new guys don't know.
Yeah.
And that's where that's the hardest part of my job with the guys is, you say I'm a coach, but 9 times out of 10, I'm also that counselor. I got to remind you, hey, we're here for a reason. We're here because if your life sucks outside of here, we're going to make it great here.
Which is definitely something I was going to ask you, like the mental health aspect of it, of translating team sports or sports in general on and off the field. Because personally, I was in a down space, like just gotten laid off, didn't know what I was doing. At this point, I was like, I had nothing going on, and it helped pick me up. So how do you feel about like the importance of, just having that team sports?
So in the rugby culture in itself, and it's not just stuck with the Storm. I mean, you look at how the Storm interacts with Scottsdale Blues. Mm-hmm. There was a point in time where Scottsdale, like 3-4 years ago, all their guys had gotten injured. We had 6 guys coming out to practice. So what we did is we combined both teams.
Mhm.
And what we did is we built each other. We got each other back up on our feet. We helped each other out. We played their games. They played our games. But when you come into this rugby culture, you create a family. And when you create that family, it gives you that, hey, you know what? I'm feeling down tonight. I need someone to talk to. You can get to practice 15 minutes early, chit chat with somebody,
Mhm.
you know, get things off your chest. There's times after practice, you and me have talked. I've talked to
Yeah.
multiple players. There's things that happen way outside, away from rugby, you know, and I know you can speak to this personally, but, you know, you had some stuff going on and you were able to fall back on your brothers that were on the team. And
Oh
they
yeah,
were able to come
100%.
to you. They were there,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know.
I'm not gonna go into detail, but like
But
Gabe was the
you know,
first person I called, and next thing you know, Marcus is here, Lucas is here, and I'm like, oh shit, did not expect, did
you
not
had the
expect all of
leaders,
this.
you had the leaders of the team step up and say, hey
Yeah,
man, it's things are good, you know.
it definitely is a family. Like if you feel like you need a focus, you need a good support. It definitely is like a family. I've always said like team sports over individual sports, 100%. Individual sports, like my parents tried, like my parents, specifically my mom, because my mom's side of the family loved tennis, obsessed with tennis. And when I was younger, swimming was probably the sport I was best at. But I'm gonna say this, like fuck the rest of you guys. I schooled the school every fucking year. There was one thing I was like best at that nobody would touch me is swimming. But the team sports like basketball was my first love just because I loved the camaraderie.
Right.
But over years when I moved to Arizona, I didn't feel like the basketball culture here is kind of toxic. Like they're fucking crazy. Everybody just wants to get to the NBA and G League. There's no, that's all. And I looked when I was looking. I'm like, oh, what's a all inclusive, safe sport like league? All soccer, flag football, rugby, and kickball. That was it.
But
Like,
yeah, we are not calling kickball a sport. That is not a sport. I don't care what you say. And for all you guys that play kickball, you're not playing a sport.
Yeah.
They-
It's baseball without
That's
the bats.
PE class.
It's baseball without the,
It's
it is
PE
what
class.
it is what it is. I was like, I'm not doing this. Also, I got one good leg. I'm not doing this.
You know,
But yeah, it's like I couldn't. I was like, what's my next best alternative? I played soccer, hated soccer. Always used to
Right.
make me goalie or midfielder, and hated it with a passion. I'm sorry. Like my entire life, it was shoved down my throats. Couldn't stand it. But yeah, then just one day, Lucas and Wilson meet me at Charlie's, and I'm like, you know what? Why not?
you
I
know,
was definitely trying to flirt at first, and I was like, you know what? Let me show up and see what it is. I was like in hoe mentality. And then he just met me over there, took me under his wing. Next thing you know, I'm going to Camelback. Took me to Blues practice. And here I am showing up to Phoenix Storm. What's it called? The boot camp.
the boot
I
camp.
tore my hamstring 2 days before. I got my cleats. I said, let me go break them in at the Camelback practice. And I've already told the story of how it happened, so I'm not going to go through this again, but I was so pissed, coach. I was so fucking mad.
You know, and you're going to see a big difference this year. Last year, I decided to start practice treating everybody like they had already played rugby.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't allow guys to hold up the other guys. So this year going into boot camp, and surprise for everybody that's listening now, you're going to find out we're starting boot camp where these 15, 20 new guys that show up, they're going to know exactly what we do for the first hour of practice every week. So they're going to get a taste of it right then and there. And it's in the name, boot camp. You think of the military. What does the military do during boot camp? They run their asses off.
Don't
Now
I might release this episode the night before because we can't scare these guys.
Yeah, well, and
It's
I'm
not
gonna,
scary.
people are going to say, "Oh, well, he's going to make us do all this running." I am, but if you remember how I did it, I set up obstacle courses. We did relay races. So you're still catching your breath while other people are working and things are still moving. We're having fun. We're going to do our passing drills. We're going to do the 4 corners.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to teach guys the basics really quick for that first hour. And then we're going to step away from the basics, kind of recap a little bit, and then go in and play some touch and get some guys some ideas of how the game is played. And me personally, I hate the touch game because it takes away 99% of what my game is. My game is to run you over, to put you in the dirt. Once you're in the dirt, make sure you stay there. And if you want to try to tackle me again, I want to make sure that you bring a friend the next time. And when I go to hit a ruck, you know, and this is the one thing I tell everybody: if you can't find your rhythm during a rugby match, find one thing to do good
Yep.
and build off of that one thing. And for me, it's counter rucking. The minute I start counter rucking guys and I start blowing people off the ball, all of a sudden my body loosens up. I get in the flow of the game again. And next thing you know, I'm all over the field. You know, now I say it that way, but the truth of the matter is I hit the ruck, then I walk down the field, then I hit another ruck. I walk down the field again. My body just doesn't let me do what you younger guys are doing nowadays. You know, and that's why
That's a damn shame.
during sevens, you know, after the last sevens, and I'm going to just be honest about this. I was playing with the Blues. We were playing out there in Mesa, and one of the kids from ASU, one of their seniors, he went to the professional league, but he came flying down the side, and I went to try to sidestep him, and he hit me so hard right here. I swear to God that my forehead touched my ankle. And I rolled over and I went to get up, and he put his hand down. He goes, "You need help up, old man?"
Oh my God.
I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
You.
I was like, "No," you know, because, you know, I just realized, I was like, you know what?
It's like,
I've got kids playing this sport. I can watch them. I've got a whole team that I can coach to play this sport. And I can have 5 minutes of glory in practice through a couple drills every once in a while.
yeah, you say that. It's kind of fucked up when you raced us in practice once and you like beat more than half the team. And I was like, I don't know if he's really good or like we're really slow. But that was a little, at the time, it was a little demoralizing because but it also kind of made me, I started going, you know, the machine at the gym where it's the treadmill, but you move it. It's like the I don't know what the fuck it's called.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a treadmill, but it doesn't have like a motor. You have to move it. And it's like where
It
I
moves
guess
at your
players, yeah,
speed.
people go test their speed and it shows you how fast you're running. I started doing that a lot more. And I remember first time I did it, I was at like 13 and I think 13 like miles an hour. And then by the time like after like a month, I had hit like 15. And it's just like, it's little things like that. Some people will be like, oh no, you know, coach is trying to show off. Like coach is trying to give you guys a realistic benchmark.
Well, and when I show some of these guys, because I have guys that say they're backs. 30 years ago, I was a back. Now I'm not a back anymore. I'm a forward. You know, my speed isn't there anymore. And let's be truthful, I'm not passing the ball anymore. I'm putting it on the ground. You can come get it from me. You know, because I'm at a point in my career where towards the end of my career, it was recycle the ball, give my teammates, you know, a chance that way.
You have to adapt and find something good for yourself.
But when I sprint against you guys once in a while, it's not to show off. It's to say, tons of you guys are being lazy. You ain't giving it what you really could give it.
Oh, 100%.
You know, and then 3 or 4 times, you know, each time there's the guys that I'm never going to beat, the Whalens, the Austins, the Jaimes. Those guys, they're going to smoke
Whalen makes it look so effortless. I don't know how he does it. Like, he just makes it look so effortless and chill. Like, you see him running and we're like pouring sweat, and Whalen's like barely breaking a sweat. Like, even Austin will run. Like, Austin looks like he's in real good shape. And then him and like, he would be poor. Like, Whalen would be like dry as hell. Austin would just be like sweating. And I'm just like, what the like,
well, and that's my gauge. When I see Austin and Whalen holding their knees, gasping for air,
you're like, oh,
that's my gauge of, okay, we're working too hard. Let's go get some water.
Let's go get some water.
You know, and it for me, because I'll run with you guys once in a while, and basically I'm just doing it because it gets boring watching you guys run. I'm not gonna lie, so I got to do something. So I'll jump in and I'll pick up the guys that are running a little bit slower. You know, mostly our forwards. I'll grab them and be like, hey, come on, keep up. You know, push those guys. But I like to do the sprints every once in a while, because that 1 out of every 10 where I go back to, you know, being 28 years old again, where I can run just as fast as anybody, it shows up. So I'm like, I still got it. And then I realize the very next time that we do it, I ain't got it no more.
Yeah, it's not it sometimes, especially like my first practice, not the boot camp, but my first I was so fucking sore afterwards. My hips hurt because I had only been doing like, in terms of like my cardio, I go play basketball. I'll play full court games like once a week, and then play pickup 2, maybe 3 times a week if I could. And you feel like, oh, I've been playing for like an hour and a half. Must be super fit. I was wrong. Not as fit as I thought I was. And I just couldn't. It's mental.
Right.
I think a lot of fitness is mental. Like, if you're bored, you get tired so quickly. I don't know why. And like during practice, you got to find the joy in practice. You got to
Right.
find like what do you enjoy in practice? Do you enjoy the running? Do you enjoy the drills? Because I remember, which game was it? Was it Vegas? I think it was Vegas game because I was a forward then. I started off slow, but I had so much fun clearing the rucks. I stopped being tired. And I was like, oh shit, this is fun. I was slow as hell. I remember trying to chase down Big Boy and like ended up pantsing him. I feel like that was the highlight of my season. Like I tried to chase down Big Boy. He was fast as hell. Could I just, lunged for it. I said, I'll grab what I can grab. Ended up just pantsing him. He still scored, but whatever. But I found so much joy in that game. That was, I think, my favorite game because I was like, I cleared one ruck well and I said, fuck yeah. I said, let's do this. Let's keep doing this. And next thing you know, I was like, oh, I was having a great time. That I feel is like mine. What do you feel like is maybe the best game that we played as a unit? I know you
You
didn't
know,
you didn't end up going to Rome with
the
rest of
wins
them.
were great, but I think that the game that proved to everybody where they really were at,
That we could be here.
that we belong there, is not. Well, I'm going to take that back. The two games. The first game was against Colorado Rush.
Okay.
They played D3 rugby in Colorado. They have beaten some really good teams there, and
Did we score
they,
like once or twice?
the score against Colorado, I believe, was 28-35 when we lost to them, which I could accept that. That was the first game of the season. It was a fun match. It was another IGR team. So it allowed the guys to get out there and get a feeling for each other. But when we went and played in Vegas, and we're looking across the field at the Vegas guys, because we're supposed to be playing a B-side game. And I'm watching the D2 players playing in this match. And right off the bat, we run right through them. We go down, we get a score held up so it doesn't count. Then we go down again. Chris barrels down. He almost scores again. He gets held up. We practiced on that right away after that match of getting the ball to the ground when you score. Jakin was breaking tackles. AJ and JJ, they were hitting holes. I mean, we looked like a real rugby team, and we ran our structure. And the Vegas guys were having a hard time with us. Now, granted, they threw that professional football player in, and I'm going to tell you
Wait, which
right
one was
now, he played wing. That kid had some exceptional skills. He did some things wrong. You're not allowed to hurdle people. Things that he didn't
Oh,
really know. But if I was his coach, if I was the coach of Vegas, I'd be excited to have that kid because he has so much potential. But I seen as a team the potential that we had because we were able to go out there and battle with these guys. And even AJ yelled at me, Coach, what's going on here? That whole back line is all their D2 players. And AJ knows because he played with Tempe as a D2 player.
okay.
So, and I'm just like, hey, this is what the cards were dealt. We got to play it.
Was that the game where they had like three people trying to take down Quincy, and Quincy's just like dragging them through the dirt?
Yeah.
Quincy, by the way, Quincy is like super nice, fun guy, but when he gets on the field, he's got like that
it
switch.
switches in his
Yeah,
head.
yeah, yeah. I seen this like what 20, 21-year old kid like just dragging like two, three guys like trying to take him down. I'm just on the sideline, like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Sometimes like you can get like when you're seeing like people just in their zone, and sometimes you can get distracted on the field. Like you're watching like Big Chris just run, and you're sitting there like, oh shit, Chris is like trucking through them, and then you're like, oh fuck, I'm supposed to be right behind him.
Exactly.
Like I need to catch up. What's your funniest moment from the Storm this season? I got mine. I have the moment that was funny for me and the moment that pissed me off the most. What are your two? One moment that really pissed you off and one moment that you were like hilarious.
I think the moment that pissed me off the most, and I know this is because guys are new and they don't understand we're playing ASU. We're playing at their field, and
I thought that was a good game.
I'm just going to leave names out of the person who.
No, call him out, drag him.
Mikey Wilson got into a fight.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
When the fight broke out, we had players from our team who tried to step onto the field. Arturo ran halfway on the field, and I had to run out there, and I was so embarrassed at that moment that our guys didn't have the composure to say, you know what? I'm a rugby player. My ass stays right here on the sideline. We let the referee take care of it. The ref did, and so that was probably my most embarrassing moment because I had players who, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I had players that weren't disciplined yet to understand that where their place was on the rugby pitch,
Right.
and them not being in the match, their place needed to be on that sideline.
Come on, coach. You've gotten into fights before, I'm sure.
I've gotten into plenty of fights.
I've sucker punched
but
someone on the
I've
basketball
never
court.
ran out onto the field when I wasn't supposed to be there.
I've sucker punched somebody on the basketball field. That's how I got broken nose number 2.
And then I'm gonna have to say probably my happiest time was, and it, honest to God, it was probably when my daughter suckered me during Rucktacular, suckered me to get up to go look at something, and then the guys threw the water
on you because we had won the second game.
We had won our second game by a shutout, 49-0.
Oh yeah, that was a game.
I mean, it was exciting for everybody, but it allowed my daughter who plays rugby, it allowed her to be involved with the Storm.
Oh, she's a fucking star.
And she comes out and runs with us every once in a while. But I mean, just to have her, my wife, and everybody there, to see this going on, to experience it with us, because it's different when you win a game as a player, but when you win a game as a coach because of the system that you put in and the guys are following what they're supposed to be doing,
right,
and everything just clicks perfectly. I mean, it's an overwhelming feeling of success with your guys.
I'm surprised we lost that third game though, because it was close. That third game was close.
The third game was really
close. And I think it was like we lost in like the last 2-3 minutes, something like that. Because I remember we were either tied or ahead, but it was again really close. And I'm pretty sure we lost in like the very end.
We ended up losing in the last 5 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
And it was
it the Armada? No.
Yeah, it was San Diego Armada. And
what's the team with the French coach? I can't remember his name.
I don't remember.
I think it's maybe the LA team. I'm not sure.
It might have been. Yeah. Which, by the way, all those coaches get paid. I do this for free because I love you guys. Yeah. But I better get me a nice polo shirt this year. I'm just putting it on the record.
Yeah, like for guys who don't know, like our IGR. So we're part of like two leagues, I think.
Yes,
we're part of like 2 leagues: the Southwest Rugby Union and then the IGR. IGR stands for International Gay Rugby. It's where all inclusive. So even if you're straight or pan, whatever you identify as, like it's all inclusive. You're welcome to join, obviously. And it's just how do you feel as a straight coach coaching in IGR? Because I know for a fact when I've told people like, oh, I'm playing in an RGR team, I'm trying to do some recruiting, everyone's like, nah, I'm not doing that. I do most of my recruiting in like EOS when I'm playing basketball or
when
I'm going out.
Here, this is my belief, and you and me have kind of talked about this before. Mm-hmm. If you know anything about ancient times, about the Romans, the Egyptians,
a bunch of facts.
All these things. If the Vikings came to your village, they were coming to rape and pillage, and they weren't caring where they were sticking it.
Yeah,
and so through the times, whatever the Catholic Church wanted to put together to make their Bible, and I don't care who wants to get upset with me. It's all facts. You can look
the people on the show, I've talked about like one of the great things about me and Assam is that we have completely differing beliefs on everything, but we truly believe like what you believe shouldn't dictate, how you interact with other people. It's your personal belief. So I'm openly like not religious. I'm not atheist. I feel like that's the other coin of arrogance, but I'm just like, I don't know what's going on out there. I don't care. Well, it's not my problem. So, people listening on the show, don't feel like you have to, water down your opinions for people here.
Yeah. When I hear, cause I grew up in a Catholic school, I grew up in a Catholic home, but when I hear people say, you need to live your life like Jesus, read your Bible. In that Bible, who was Jesus hanging out with? All the people that were doing the wrong things.
His best friend a prostitute?
Exactly. He was doing the wrong things. The people he was around, he was hanging out with the people that were considered the low lifes. So when people say that, hey, you should be living like Jesus, that's how I feel like I should take my everyday, because I don't care what your sexuality is. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care what you did in your past.
Come to practice, hit hard, and take it serious.
If you're somebody who's genuine and wants to have a relationship with my team, with my guys, with my family, then I'm gonna welcome you in until you give me a reason not to. So I feel like all those times I heard live like Jesus, I am, because I'm not looking at people and saying, well, I can't be friends with you because of this, So when I look at it, all the straight guys that come and they finally get a chance to be around, some of the gay guys that are on our team, they realize, man, what was I scared of?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things that come with it, and I'm going to be 100% honest. You know,
Coach
the
Mike,
crap that I put up
Mike.
with, you know, on, you know, I don't care going to Charlie's. When I go there, I have fun with you guys.
They're just a bit much.
I do the goofy things. You know, I know some of those old. I don't know how you guys, but I call them the older twink guys. I don't know if that's the right term.
I don't think you can. So
Mm.
I don't think you can be a twink past
Maybe,
30.
maybe flamboyant. You know?
Oh no, the more. Oh no, just the
But
theatrical gays.
it's the older guys that see that. Hey, when coach shows up and I get talked into doing things for fun, like when we're trying to make money and we're trying to sell Jello shots. Fine, I'll take my shirt off and go sell my Jello shots, and I'm coming right back. Now, when I go to sell my Jello shots, you guys are selling them 2 for $5. I'm selling them for like 6 for $5.
Why?
Just so I can get rid of them, so I can come back and put my shirt on. But I'll take. I do the pictures.
I haven't been shirtless this much since I was a teenager because I didn't want just lazy, and now like since I joined the store, I've been shirtless. But it's also given me like way more confidence.
That's the biggest thing.
Like
about,
I used to be so scrawny and like just self-conscious, like oh I'm not built, I'm not all that.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't matter what your shape is to play rugby.
I know, but I'm just like outside. That's again part of that mental health. I just used to feel so much more confident now.
It carries on for you. It allows you to, you know, you build that confidence around people. And when you go out into public, you're just like, man, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, you know? Yeah. And I really, you know, I would love to say that, man, I want people to admire me, or I want people to think that I'm a great person, but I really don't give a fuck. The only people that matter to me are my children and my wife. Mm-hmm. You know, and I want my family, everybody else in my family, to respect me, but respect is earned. And I have to do the right things so that I can earn that respect from everybody.
Yeah. I know coming into the team, like probably still not one of the popular people on the team, because you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you an answer. And I've had this conversation with other people, but the people I respect, even some of the people that I know actively like don't like me, the people I do respect are the ones that practice hard, say their mind honestly, like say it with their chest. And actually, so I almost got into it with one of our players when we were in Rectacular. Came back to the hotel room a little drunk, but he's actually like, I'll say this, Pauly's one of the people I respect the most, even though he's fucking crazy. Yeah. He's fucking crazy. He's fucking crazy, but he speaks his fucking mind. Whatever he says it with his chest. Right. And I have so much respect for people like that. I don't like the sneakiness. I don't like the behind the back. So just going in life in general, even if I disagree with you, say your opinion with your chest. Say it like you truly believe it and you're not a hypocrite, and you'll earn my respect. And I love Pauly. I love Pauly so fucking much. He is so much fun to be around, but he's batshit crazy.
Oh, he is. He is.
I can't Pauly, I can't socialize with you past 9 p.m. because I can't do that. I'm sorry, Paul.
Well, when I very first came to the Storm, I went and played in a TENS tournament that was in Scottsdale, and I actually went there just to watch, and somebody talked me into playing. Right. And we were playing against a team, and I just bowled over one of the guys that was there. And Pauly's on the sideline screaming at that dude, "How do you like it? How do you like it? You just got punked. You got punked by an old man." And I'm like, "Pauly, shut the fuck up." Chill. You know, like, and Pauly, he wasn't even drinking. That was just his hypeness. That's who he is. And it's hard for some people to take that in, but I would rather have everybody have his intensity than for everybody to be more laid back. Because if everybody went out the way that Pauly shows that intensity, man, we'd be unstoppable.
I remember we almost got into it because so at Rectacular we all left. Like after the game, we went to the socials and all of that, and it was me, Kalen, Keith, and Pauly. We were sharing a room. First of all, Keith, quietest big dude ever. Keith, I can't share a bed with you and find you in the nude, bro. I came in, I was like, Keith, put some fucking drawers on. Like, we're not sleeping. So I come home to sleep. By that day, I was, you know, I wasn't drinking. So I had 0 drinks that night. I was tired as hell. Everyone was getting wild and stuff. So I left. I left with the MVP of, I think it was the Seattle team or something. I was like, we had fun, but I can't come home. Pauly's like, where are you, Kareem? You just fucking ditched the team. What the fuck? You doing all this shit? You come to the team, you think you cute. I'm like waking up. I said, what the fuck is wrong with Pauly?
So you met Civil is what you met.
Yeah. I met Civil Pauly, and he's trying to actually fight me. So I'm about to get up. Kalen, thank God, is like pretty sober. Kalen like hugs him, takes him down. I was like, Pauly, come back. I said, you must have lost your fucking mind. I said, I'm not your personal chauffeur just because I'm not drinking. I said, I'm not going to be there till like 3-4 in the morning. I said, I was tired as hell. I needed to go home. But yeah, that was the only time. After that, like again, we woke up in the morning, we patched it up, and it was whatever. But it's like, come on, Pauly.
No, I think Pauly is really good for the Storm.
Yeah, one of the
I
most
think
genuine motivators.
He's really good for the young players that are coming in because they see this guy that is batshit crazy, will do anything to help the team in any fashion, and I don't think he gets enough praise for the stuff that he does.
He plays through a lot of injuries.
And that's why a couple times this season, I was like, you know what? I'm picking Pauly as my captain because that's the guy I want you guys to have the intensity like, and Pauly is a pretty decent rugby player. He can get a lot better. He's doing a lot of things on his own time to get better. And I think the player we're going to see this coming season is going to be a night and day difference from last year.
Yeah, I will say, Paulie, I don't want to hear you shouting at us in practice if you're not running with us, sitting in the sideline talking about my back, then calling us lazy 10 seconds later. I don't want to hear that shit. Yeah, I don't want to hear that shit, Paulie. Don't sit there telling me I'm lazy when you're sitting on the sideline massaging your back. I don't want to hear that. My favorite moment, the moment that pissed me off back to our little thing, the moment that pissed me off with the Storm in the season is when Danny got tackled on the sideline. And who are we playing? Tempe?
Oh, no, we were playing Red Mountain.
Red Mountain. Yeah, we were playing Red Mountain. When Danny got tackled, that was a filthy fucking tackle. That pissed me off. I was like, what the fuck? Like, do you remember when
he broke his wrist?
When he broke his wrist or when he got the concussion? He got sideswiped by what was his name? Then he started to join us. Oh my god, I am so sorry.
Oh, it was Lamar.
Lamar, so, thank you. Yeah.
Lamar hit him.
Lamar hit Danny like Odell got hit by fucking Aaron Donald. Like, he got sideswiped. So, and I was so pissed. I said, bro, that was so not fucking necessary. Like,
but that's the intensity of the game. It was a legal hit.
It was illegal?
It was a legal hit. He was below the waist. It's just the way that Danny happened to fall. At the same time, though,
Coach, he didn't fall. He got thrown into the fucking sidelines. I don't know if it was a fucking tackle or a line out.
No, he got hit. And that's how hard he got hit.
Yeah, he went.
But at the same time, this is where I've looked at things like if you go back to the Vegas game, there was a point in the Vegas game where Marcus yells at me, "You've got to get everybody into play." Fuck no, I don't. There is a point in time during matches where I can see on the field that there are guys that are not developed enough yet, and my job as the head coach is to keep them safe. So I'm not going to put them in a situation to where they can get hurt, And then we came back the very next week. We go out and we play, and some of these guys get playing time. And I've sat down with Danny multiple times and talked to him about, you're just learning the game. You don't really have a position yet. He got injured, so he really didn't get as much work in as everybody else. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling that once Danny comes back from this injury, gets through all of boot camp and everything that's going on, he's going to have a different look at the game as to where he doesn't need to be on the defense just on defense. He's got to be on the defense 100% of the time.
Right.
Because you can get hit from any angle. And I think that's going to make him a better player. And the stuff that kid does for our team right now,
Danny's behind the scenes warrior.
Behind the scenes organizer. And I like to tell people this too, if you come out to the Storm and you don't think that you can do the thing these guys are doing, don't be intimidated. If you still want to get the workout in, you still want to have fun, you still want to party with the team and do things, come join us as a Storm Chaser.
Actually, I like that you say that, but we're going to talk about the Storm Chasers before the end of the episode, because as you were saying that, I actually remembered a hit that pissed me off more than that one. Do you remember what happened to Conti in the Rush game? When he got body slammed it was WWE? And that was 100% an illegal hit. And I was surprised the team didn't break out and riot.
There was a penalty called. And see, that's the difference between rugby and other sports.
So Conti got rid of the ball. So for context, you can't hit a person once they get rid of the ball, you can't touch them. They don't have the ball, you can't touch them.
So the guy illegally left his feet to hit Conti.
He picked him up, held him, and then slammed him. And I was like, what the fuck?
But the thing is when you grab a guy like that, he jumped in the air and threw him down, more like a WWF move than a rugby tackle.
Yeah, I was just like, what the
They
fuck?
called the penalty on him. He was yellow card. And the thing with Conti is
Conti almost slapped the shit out
he
of him. I saw
he
him.
gets fired up, he gets angry, but he took a moment and he said, "Coach, I got to come out of the game." He came to the sideline. He goes, "I just need a
Yeah,
minute.
I
Let me
talked to him.
give my senses back to me." And then he went back out and he still played a hell of a match.
Yeah, I tried to talk to him. He
You
didn't want to
know,
hear it from anybody.
there's things that happen in rugby, especially when you have young guys or new players. They do things because they think that that's the way that it's supposed to be done.
Hmm.
When rugby is played the right way, by the rules, by people that are experienced, you usually don't ever see an injury. I mean, you watch
Which
all
is
these pro matches. Yeah, you might get your ear ripped open. You might get your nose busted.
don't
You might get a
don't
fat
don't
lip.
don't. We got boot camp. Don't
You
say
know,
that. Don't say that.
but it doesn't. It's not stuff like you don't see the guys get their
I
legs
think
broken.
I think because the difference between rugby and like the tackling or the hitting in American football, because people have in the NFL, people have like the pads on. I feel like there's a
Right.
lot more disrespect. I feel like it's a lot more. I'm gonna try to fuck you up rather than like in rugby, people have like a mutual respect for each other. It's like, yo, I'm gonna try to bring you down and tackle you rather than like bust your head open
Well, and if you
for no
watch the guys
reason
that are good at rugby, they're not trying to bulldoze everybody over. They're looking to bring that contact into them, to pull that defender
and
to them,
snatch the ball.
and then they go and lay themselves down on the ground. They get themselves in a position for their team to retain ball. And if you watch it, you don't see these collisions like you see in the NFL when a running back goes through the line, and he gets lit up. You see the guys,
Quarterback getting smacked by
yeah,
two
I
people.
mean,
You don't see that.
people, the way that rugby's played is retention of the ball. If you don't have the ball, you can't score.
Because in football you tackle somebody and that ball's down. That's it. That's all you have to do.
Right.
There's no next step. For you get what I mean. Like there's no next step because the clock stopped.
Right.
You in rugby, somebody has to pick it up. It doesn't do you any good to be like all by yourself and tackle someone and there's nobody to come. You get what I mean. Like there's nobody to protect you or there's nobody to come snatch the ball. It's a lot more strategic. But yeah, that I completely forgot about that hit on Conti. Like I remembered that as you were talking. That was fucked
But,
up.
this is a comparison that I like to make, and I've talked with a couple guys from the Blues about this. When I look at the players that are here in Arizona compared to the players that were in Colorado, the Colorado players are better team players than the people in Arizona. Arizona has so many freaking athletes. I mean, I look at all these different teams.
We
You
have a
got
lot of rugby teams. We're
Cam
like
out
six
in
or seven.
Tempe. You got Noah with Scottsdale. I mean, you got Jason at Scottsdale. You got these young kids that are over there in Scottsdale playing. You got the kids that are out in Red Mountain playing. There's a couple of guys that play for Phoenix. But you look at all these athletes that they have, and I think they're hands down better than the athletes that are in Colorado. But the Colorado kids play within a structure and they're disciplined better. So I think that Arizona, over the 4 years that I've been here coming out of COVID, I've been noticing that the structure of rugby here is started to get a lot better. I look at the Tempe,
The
or not
team,
Tempe, but
team chemistry.
the Magpie team last year, or 2 years ago now, that won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Those boys didn't have an all-star. Their team was the all-star, and they were a unit. They played as a unit. They had Bayou, who was directing everything, playing scrum half.
Right.
But not one person on that team was better than the team, and that is the old school rugby that I like to see, because it's a system rugby where everybody's playing for each other. And what I'm noticing now here in Arizona is that is where all these teams are moving to, and including the Storm. I mean, everybody now is starting to play a structured rugby instead of just going out there, getting the ball to the backs, go smash, ruck over, throw the ball back out to the backs again. People are putting in their systems. They're playing the game right, and I'm excited. I think that in the next 5-10 years here, Arizona is going to be a really big hotspot for rugby.
Yeah, I think as the more people join, and then join for longer, like team chemistry
Right.
is really important. It's like when you watch basketball and there's like a dog shit team making it to like multiple rounds in the playoffs, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this team doing here? It reminds me of that Suns team that made it to the finals. And I was like, okay, we got an old ass Chris Paul, young and relatively inexperienced Devin Booker, and then a bunch of nobodies. And you're like, how did they get it here? Because they have good team chemistry. They know what they're doing. And I think you join, like with the Storm, we had really good team chemistry this year. We were doing a lot of stuff off like off the field with each other. We're doing a lot of, like, obviously we all had that camaraderie on the field, but I'm really excited for the next season because we've done a lot of stuff together, and I feel like we hopefully will click more. And like you said, we may have lost a couple of our vets just to
Right.
moving and stuff like that. You know, we all have personal lives, but I'm excited. I'm
Well,
excited for this coming season.
I'm
And
I'm extremely excited to finally have a backs coach out there with us.
wait, who?
You know, AJ's coming
Oh,
on
yeah,
as
yeah,
the
yeah,
backs
yeah. He's
coach.
coming back as the backs coach. Gotcha, gotcha. Which I'm gonna fucking miss AJ on the field. AJ is one of those people. Like, again, I would show up early, and I would kick with him, and you know, he gave me. Like he said, you have one thing you're good at. He gave me motivation. I'm like, he's like, you could be a really good kicker. I said, really? Like, I did never even. It never crossed my mind.
Right.
And I was like, I guess, yeah. If AJ says so, why not? And then now I'd show up early instead of playing basketball with JJ. I'd show up early and
Start kicking the
start
ball around.
kicking with AJ, and I'm like, okay, get some strength in this leg. It's going straight. It's going where I want it. I just need to get some strength in this leg,
Right.
and it should be fun, just repetitive. So I'm excited. Hopefully, if I do a good job, he might let me kick. In a game. If I do a good job, you got to practice well. You got to earn it. But as you mentioned, being a storm chaser. So yeah, there is more that you can do for the Phoenix Storm. So let's tell those watching what being a storm chaser is.
So
And it's not a groupie for you guys. There's more to it.
so what I expect from our storm chasers, male, female, I don't care your sexuality. I just want bodies. I want you to come out, be a part of the team. That means coming to practice, running with the guys. I don't expect a storm chaser to get into tackling drills unless they want to. I'm not expecting a storm chaser to be a player out on the field. We have Fernando this last year. He played his rookie season, played all the matches. This year he said, you know what? I see a change in the team and they're going in a direction that I don't know that I'm comfortable with. And at first I was offended. I was like, what do you mean you're not comfortable with it?
Mm.
He's like, you guys want to be competitive now. You guys want that edge. You guys want to win. He goes, and I just want to be one of the guys. So this was a perfect opportunity for him to still be part of the team 100%. Come to practice, put the work in. And I gave him options. I said, Fernando, if you want to play this week, let me know so I can get you on the roster. But he's a perfect example of a guy who busts his ass physically, hangs out with the guys, does things for the team to help out, sells Jello shots, and in turn, all that he wants to do is be part of, be
Part of the
one of the
boys.
guys. He just wants to
And
be one of the boys hanging out.
I talked to Marcus about this. It's an $80 fee, so you don't have to pay it's not the full entry fee because you're not playing.
Right.
But you come to practice with us, and discounts on merch, all the good stuff. And if you help with the fundraising, right? We all have quotas that we have to meet as players as well. If you help with the fundraising, the team covers your travel expenses. You're able to come travel with us again. Be part of the boys. You could be a water boy, on the side,
Exactly.
on the sideline. It's not just me not being able to play. You have to get that. You have to put in that work with us and help us grow, right? And we will help you.
But-
come travel with us to Vegas. Come travel with us to the Rectacular.
Right. It makes them part of the team, but it just like you hit on, what are the benefits of that $80? Well, you get 8 months of rugby practice.
Hold on 1 second. I think something happened. Wait.
Okay.
I almost panicked because somebody called me and I said, "Oh no. I think I forgot to put it on airplane mode." Oops.
So
Yeah.
when I say you got 8 months with us, you have 8 months of activities that you can come out and do physically, socially,
Mhm.
and that $80 covers you for the whole year. That means when we go to do the drink up, because we're throwing the party, you get to eat, you get to drink, you get all the same stuff
You
our
enjoy
players
all
get.
the perks without having to play.
Exactly. But it allows us to have bodies at practice. We have 15 men on the field for a match. Well, when we're practicing, it's important to have those storm chasers that are there, even if they're just standing out there playing defense as a dummy, just so that we have looks of people being in front
so
of
we
us.
can practice our formations.
So
all that.
it allows us to develop the guys that are playing, and it still makes you a part of the team. And there's so many different levels to the team. Here with the Storm, and I know this is going to kind of sound funny, but we don't have that team mom. We don't have that one wife that's there that's bringing all the snacks for everybody. But then we have a group of storm chasers.
Really?
It's
Seems like
15,
Bali.
20 people who show up. They got their coolers on the sideline. You know, they got their cameras out. They're taking pictures for us. They're doing all the stuff that, you know, that team mom does for, you know, the little kids. So, I mean, it's nice to have the storm chasers out there.
When we were playing the rush, and I had that swollen fucking hamstring, and I'm doing the sideline stuff, and I saw that they had that medical. I said, man, I want that medical tape. I want somebody to just give me a good massage, really just like work in to that fucking hammy. But I love it. I love rugby. It's definitely taken over my new, like, I've literally all but given up playing basketball, just because, not because I love it less. I found like a new passion, a new target, and it's made my body so much. I don't. If you had seen me post 2019, coach, you would have thought I was malnourished. How skinny I was. 2019 was the last time I was in Sudan visiting my family. War and all that stuff. Everybody moved to Egypt. Literally the whole country moved to Egypt. I go in December. I had only practiced with you guys for like 3 months, and barely at that, but I had just gotten into the gym so much more. When I tell you, like, everybody who saw me there, they were like, "Jeez, what the fuck is, like, you're?" Because I had gotten much bigger.
Right.
I had gotten broad, like shoulders are broader, like chest is popping out. I was like skinny. You could see the bone like back in 2019, like on my face. I was so skinny. For fitness, if you think that showing up and just being like part of the storm chasers or just being part of the storm will do wonders for your body, I don't want to hear that like, oh, it's your genetics, it's your genetics. Because I was skinny my entire fucking life, and then I joined the storm. Like, I started putting in like actual work,
Right.
and got anything to say about that? Oh, it's your genetics, it's your genetics. I truly believe it does play a factor, but for the most part, like, I don't believe people putting in enough work. I know I can say this to myself. I don't even think I'm putting in enough work. If I wanted to take my, my physical body more seriously, I probably would be. The only thing I'm not doing consistently enough is eating right. Outside of that, I'm going to the gym like five days a week.
Right.
I'm working out. I'm doing all of that. I'm working out to intensity. I'm working out till my little arms get T-Rexy and all that. But like, how do you feel about those people who are saying like, oh, well, I'll never be able to do it. It's just my genetics, all of that bullshit.
So anybody can play rugby. Anybody can play sports in general. The thing is it's not your. I honestly don't believe it has anything to do with your genetics, your body. I think it has to do with your personality. You have to be a disciplined person. You have to have that. I don't want to get up and do this, but I'm going to do it. It has to become your routine. It has to become part of your life.
Oh yeah, I'm not disciplined for shit, but now I have people to hold me accountable.
And that's the other great thing, with the rugby team is you might be sitting at home going, man, coach said it rained tonight. Go to the gym. I think I'm going to hide out. But you're held accountable by all your teammates because they said, hey, we got to post this stuff because coach said if we're not posting it, you're not getting it counted as a.
I don't think we hold each other accountable enough.
And this year we changed that. We changed it a lot, and it helped the team out a lot. We held our team accountable for everything. You had to have a certain amount of practices in. You had to have a certain amount of games played. If you wanted us to pay for your entry fee for Rome, if you wanted us to help you out with some travel money, I think we are one of the few teams right now that fundraises so well that we're able to book out any place that we need to so that we can have a function going on. We can travel anywhere we need to. And with Rome this year, we're able to kick back money. I think we gave like $250 to 13 or 14 of our players that went.
Right.
And that kickback was, everybody, you kind of get down on, fuck, I got to go do the fundraising again. But then at the end of the year, you realize, hey, I'm going to Rome. I don't have to pay for where I'm at. I had to buy a ticket. Most guys spent $1,300 for a ticket, I believe. Some got it cheaper, some a little bit more expensive, depending on when you bought it. But they got over there for $1,300, got to stay for 5-6 days, had their room paid for, which the rooms that Danny found for us, they also had meals included. So they got fed.
Nobody used.
And I'm sure that they probably only ate 1 or 2 of the meals total.
Yeah, because you were probably like passed out the next morning.
But I mean, and then even at the tournament, they were feeding people there. So I mean, you show up at the things that we do, and things are paid for. that fundraising doesn't seem like such a bad idea. And
There was a lot of. I was surprised.
the board doesn't. You guys don't see what the board goes through on determining what we're going to do, what we're going to spend. And I am finally happy that we have somebody like Danny and Gabe, because I have backup on. We're not spending money on stupid shit no more. You know, if we can spend
I never believed Lucas would let anybody
alcohol,
spend money on stupid shit.
Oh, we have. Trust me,
Really?
we have a lot. You know,
I made a joke once. I said, Lucas is a penny pincher, bro. He would not let you, like, some of the things like I've asked for, he'd be like, nope, we're not doing it. I said, come on, Lucas, like, we need this. I saw that massage table he asked for. He's like, we can't afford it. I'm like, come on, Lucas, I saw how much we make. Well,
no, see, and you guys
it can't be that expensive.
What a lot of the guys that don't see what's going on.
Lucas,
the beginning of the season, we have to get our insurance right. So we have to re-up our insurance.
Okay.
As a team, we have to pay our dues to Southwest Union. We have to pay our IGR dues.
Oh,
so that's money that leaves. Then we have to allocate our fields. So for us to get our practice fields, we have to pay that, and that's an upfront pricing. So it's $1,600 out of our pocket.
$1,600 only?
$1,600 for each season. And here, I call it the winter season because it's the only months that are cool. You know, so it's fall. I believe they call it fall and spring is what they call it here. As far as the allegations go,
we just have summer, and then one day it switches to winter. Like, it's hot as fuck now. Wait until end of September. It's just there's gonna be like 2-3 days of fall, and next it's gonna rain, and next thing you know, it's gonna be like, oh, 60. It's 68 today. Like, what the fuck? But I remember playing in this. Do you remember the first game? The first full game I played in? Actually, no, fuck that. I'm mad at you and Marcus at this one. The first full game I played in. Do you remember? You weren't there.
I wasn't there, so you can't hold me accountable.
No, but you know, because you cussed me out in practice after you watched the fucking tape. First full game I fucking played, NAU. We go there, it's freezing. It's raining. I'm nervous. I was finally like healthy. My legs was working. I was able to run for the most part. Like, I was good. Marcus is hyping me up all game. He's like, yes, keep doing this, keep doing that, whatever. I leave happy. I'm taking all these pictures. I'm like, for Instagram, like, yay, look at me. What happens as soon as we get home, first practice? You cussed me out. You cussed me out so fucking bad. You're like, if I fucking saw you on the pitch career, I would have pulled you. I'm like, then I looked at Marcus. I'm like, Marcus, what the fuck? You kept telling me I was doing good all game. I was so fucking mad at the both of them. I was like, what the fuck?
Here's the difference between Marcus and I. Marcus is really good at helping new players develop those beginning skills.
I was so pissed.
When I look at people that are out there on the pitch, I'm expecting them to do certain things at a certain level. So when I see that you looked lost one time, or I see that you passed the ball when you should have went into contact, I get pissed off. Now Marcus is going to say he made a good pass though. It's not the pass that I'm worried about. He should have taken it to contact and went down on the ground. Because he had the game line, and then he lost the game line by throwing the ball backwards to this other person. So it's growing pains because you'd never played.
What the fuck?
You know, and let me tell you what, it's not like people show up and get on that rugby field and are all of a sudden a superstar.
Yeah, I get it. Like, if Marcus cussed me out in mid-game, he's like, don't fucking do this. I would have adapted and not doing this. But I was like, okay, cool, I'm doing good. I'm going to do the same shit over and over again. Next thing you know, I'm getting dragged in practice you called me out by name. I was like,
well, and I'm going to pick on Marcus for this too, because I wasn't able to be there. I had some stuff going on with family passing, so I had to be in Wyoming.
We got lives.
But when I left, I told Marcus, I said, I want these guys to still play the same way that I expect them to play. He's like, yeah, I got you. But because of what he was doing, working on getting his degree and getting all his stuff done for nursing at the time, he wasn't there to see the things that I was wanting done.
You better get straight.
So when he was turning around and telling guys to do stuff, and they're like, that's not what coach does. And he was confused on things. You know, that's why last year I started it a little bit, but this year I'm going to really push it harder. Before every practice, my 3 coaches are going to have what the game plan is, what we're going through. And then they're going to also have diagrams on, this is how we set up on the field. This is where these players are. These are the numbers of those players and where they're supposed to be at. So there's no more confusion, because we would implement one thing and then we seen in a match that it didn't work in that situation. Mm-hmm. So we changed it during practice. Well, He wasn't there.
Dude.
So then he goes out and he's still trying to tell guys to run the thing that we all were told not to do anymore. So it's those are some of the growing pains with a team, especially a young team like ours. But the nice thing that happened this year is 2017 was the last time that they had a win, IGR.
Jesus.
2006 was the last time that they had won a league match in Southwest Rugby. So last year we won 2 league matches. We were in every game that we played. The only match I believe we got blown out in was a preseason match with Phoenix. And
this year or last year?
Last year. We played a preseason match with Phoenix, and they're a D2 team. They're a very skilled team. They had one hell of a coach who's now on coaching college rugby. But, I mean, you look at all the things that we've done over this past season, and then to hold our own against the Irish, when we're in Vegas, even though we lost, I mean, I believe the game was 32.
We were whooping their ass at the first half, weren't we? And
32
it was
to
the second
12.
half that took us out. I remember we were winning the first half.
It was when all those D2 players came in and just took over the match.
Yeah, we were winning.
But we still gave them everything that they could handle. So that told me right then and there, the Storm actually is turned a page in this book.
The photographer has a photo of me and Jake trying to take down Big Boy, the same one I passed, and it's like me and Jake, and he got one leg, I got another, and I'm just like, damn. But now there's another confusion moment. I feel like something that would make it easier for other rookies who come in, like the on the pitch communication, because there's been too many times I've been subbed in. And I think, what game was this? Trying to remember what game was this. I think we were still in our yellow jerseys or blue jersey. It was a blue jersey game. And Marcus had come off. Remember this. Marcus had come off. He had subbed me off for Marcus. And I was going into his pod. So I asked him, like, hey, who's your pod? And he was like, X, Y, and Z. I think it was like Chad and somebody else. And he was like, play this position. I was like, I want you to do this. I get on there. And next thing you know, Chad is now arguing with me. He's like, no. He doesn't do this. He don't do this. I'm like, Chad, I'm literally telling you what I was fucking told to do. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't have no authority. I'm just relaying this information. Let's just do what the fuck they were told. Like, it's Marcus, it's coach, whatever. Chad, for some reason, didn't believe me. Didn't want to believe me. He was like, whatever. No. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, whatever. We're on defense. Things start getting lost. I think either we scored or somebody else scored. So I go to AJ on the field. I said, AJ, put me in a fucking pod, because nobody believes what I'm like. This is what I was told. Nobody wants to believe it. I said, put me in a fucking 2-man pod somewhere, because nobody wants to do what I was told to tell them to do. Like, I don't make any decisions on my fucking own. I just relay information when I get subbed in. AJ did a good job. He put me in a pod with, was it Mikey? Was it Donaldson? I'm pretty sure it was Donaldson. Put me in like a 2-man pod with Donaldson for defense, and things like started clicking from there. I started getting comfortable. Oh, it was Vegas. Then things started getting comfortable, but there was like that. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't Vegas because Chad wasn't there. My bad. Anyway, I can't remember which game exactly it was. But anyway, after that, I was like, oh, cool. Now I started getting comfortable. But it happens, like, I think more often than not, especially like you said, Chad is a seasoned player. He knows what he's doing. That's probably why he disagreed. So I'm not sitting there. He probably sees something that I don't see.
Right.
But I feel like as a rookie, maybe the on-field communication, like, it would make it easier for us to transition in moments like that. Because if you start the game as a rookie, it's fine. Everybody knows what they're doing. But then once people start getting subbed in and out, that's where, me personally, I started getting lost, because now we're arguing with other people in other pods, and they telling us, no, don't do this, don't do that.
What makes it tough, too, is I'll put you in at second row, sometimes flanker. There's been a handful of times I put you at wing. So I'm asking you to know 3 positions to go out there and play.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes where you go in at second row and you have the right set of, I'm supposed to be in pod 2. It's supposed to be with my 2 second row guys. I'm supposed to be with them. But in actuality, you're supposed to be with the 8-man. So, because you're supposed to be in that 3rd pod instead of the 2 pod. So it's one of those things where you have the position right, but you don't have your pod right. Yeah, or you might have your pod right, but your position is wrong. So it's a learn on the fly.
I have no experience to argue with the vets on there. I was not going to argue with Chad, because Chad is a vet. He knows way more than me. He probably sees something that needs to be adjusted or whatever. I can't argue with him. So I was like, all right, whatever. But speaking of the second row, can Can the people in the first row please shower? There's too many times my shoulders smell. I'm not the only person who's fucking complained about this. For y'all who don't know, this is the scrum. Look up the scrum is where we lock, right? I'm in the second row, usually on the right hand side, sometimes maybe on the left. I can't have my shoulders smelling like ass. I get it. You guys are coming straight from work to practice. Like, please, guys. It's not all the time, but it's too many times. I'm not the only person who's complained about this shit. You know, like, no names. We're not here to shame people, but you know who the fuck you are. You know, DM me on Instagram. I will, I'll tell you if it's you or not, but I'm not going to shame you to the world. But the scrums, for you guys who don't know, scrums is how penalties are decided, right? Now, if it's your penalty, you get to throw the ball under. If it's the other team's penalty, they get to throw the ball under. And it's like a tug of war, right? It's like a tug of war, except you're pushing, not pulling. What do you think in terms of the scrum? How do you think we can improve on the scrum? What skills would you like to see from us practicing this season?
So our biggest problem with scrums is we have the biggest boys in the scrums. We should be dominating everybody, hands down, no question about it. You know, our front row is close to 800 pounds, and we can't move another scrum.
800? Who is it?
You got 315, 315.
Well, Lucas is a hooker. Pounds. Lucas is our starting hooker? Yeah.
No, Ganji.
Ganji is the starting hooker.
So you got Chris, who's 315. You got Keith, who's 315. You know, there's 600 pounds right there. Then you put Ganji, a 200-pound man there. That's 800 pounds. Those boys.
He's a cute 200-pound teddy bear. He's a cute little teddy bear.
He is, trust me.
I know. Ganji's strong as hell.
Well, if he were to shave that chest hair, he'd probably be 175. But
I'd love to break that.
When you look at what we had there, and then you add 2 second row players, Jakin and Chad, there's another 500-600 pounds. So there is no reason why when we come together as that tight 5 that we shouldn't be bulldozing everybody over. The problem with our guys right now is we're getting comfortable at the position we're playing. This year, I think what you're going to see is that cadence is going to start taking where people are going to say, oh, we've engaged 1, 2, hold, 1, 2, hold. So those things, it's baby steps. You know, it's all those first year guys got to play together for the first time.
I love playing with Gabe in the second row just because it's just because I fit so comfortably. Like my arm fits around him. I'm able to hold him nice and tight. We're able to get, under people's, asses and get our shoulders under people's asses and push. I've said this before. Chad has some monster shoulders. Right. That's a big boy. I literally cannot, especially with my fucked up shoulder, I literally cannot lift around and grab him. He's got some, Viking shoulders, that boy, and he's strong as fuck. And yeah, I love playing with Gabe. Sometimes my pride won't let me say it. Like, I'm not good enough to play with Chad in the second row. It's hard to admit I'm a liability because Chad is someone you need in this. He knows what he's fucking doing. He's strong as fuck. He's broad as fuck. But my scrawny little self, I cannot get a good hold on him.
It's a leverage game when you're in a scrum.
Yeah.
And when you
I
guys
feel like a liability.
When you're keeping your ass up like this and pushing your head down towards the ground on their asses, where's the scrum going? It's going to the dirt. When everybody's flat like this and you're driving as a unit, it goes straight. So those are going to be some of the things this year that we're going to get out the pool noodles again. We're going to get the softballs out where your knee can't be any higher than my softball. You guys can't hit my pool noodle when you're pushing on the sled. So that way we start getting that chemistry together of everybody's getting down, our hips are sunk, we're driving as a unit. It's something that takes time. Some people get it just like that. Some people don't. And I think with the guys that we have an established front row now. Those guys have all played together for a season and a half. We have second row guys that have been in and out that have all played together. So now with some of the changes we're going to make, like with pulling Kevin from scrum half and putting him at 7, those are going to be some things that tighten the things up in that scrum too, that are, other leadership that's going to be there to help you guys. Hey, no, Kareem, get your arm down over here. Right. That way your leverage is here instead of going up top. Because there's times where I watch you guys bind around the shoulders, then around the hips.
Now, there's towards the end, I think for the most part, I got where to grab
through the armpit.
Yeah, through the armpit, right above the tit.
Right.
Right. And like I said, I feel like a liability. ain't no way I'm gonna be like, put me in the scrum instead of Chad. Like, ain't no fucking way. Right? Let's get that out the way. And Chad, if you're listening to this, kudos to you. Keep doing what you're
But
doing.
the thing is, though, is
But I'm
we're not
I'm
going to
not built
lift
like
Chad.
that. Hmm?
We're not going to lift Chad.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a jumper, But my
Oh yeah, I
second
do
row
want to do
guy,
that.
when you're in there, I can jump you. And because of your skills from basketball, it translates to what we're doing there. And that's another thing that we need to work on this coming season is our lineouts, because we have one guy who's getting full extension and another guy who's still holding right here, chest high, using all back instead of extending with his shoulders. So as you guys start to develop a little bit more, the places we're going to start winning rugby matches at that is going to be impressive is in those scrums or in those lineouts, because you've had time to develop. You've
I
had
hope
time
Joe
to get
comes
an
back.
understanding of what you need to do.
I hope Joe comes back. Joe still says he's like, I still talk to him every now and then. He still says he's down, he's motivated, but just life keeps kicking him,
Right.
and need to get that sorted. But
Joe's another Polly. Honest to God, he is.
Yeah, he's batshit crazy. I worked with him at one point. I used to be his boss. So I tell you, like, I love Joe, like, because when we used to work together, we used to be coworkers. We used to be on the same level. Then I got promoted, and I had to be his boss. And it was cool when we started working from home. And as soon as we transitioned back into the office, I was like, oh shit, Joe is crazy. He's good at what he does. Like, we need to figure out how to talk to him.
What I started doing with Joe was I needed to get him playing time so I could see what he could do. So when we were playing these games where I was able to stick him on the other team and give him a whole match playing out there, I was able to find out, hey, this guy can hit. This guy,
he can hit and he's quick.
His passing skills are for shit right now, but he can hit, he can catch the ball, and he will attack everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of those,
mental.
I hate to say this about a player, but he's an Energizer bunny. He hits the deck and he's back on his feet and he's screaming, he's communicating. He's picking up the basics of rugby that make rugby easy.
Yep.
But he still has a long way to go. And I think this year for Joe, playing a 6, that this kid would be incredible.
Could you imagine Joe? I've seen Joe run full speed. Like, he's fucking fast. Could you imagine Joe, like, even you could put, if he, obviously puts in the work, could you imagine Joe as a back?
No. I can't.
You don't think he'd be like,
No, because he can't pass. His hands are
if he gets it better. Even
if he got that down, that's not where I'd want him.
Really?
Because I need for him to be one of my block walls in that scrum. He has good speed, but he doesn't have that Austin speed. He doesn't have that shifty Michael Wilson speed.
He's electric, though.
He doesn't have that same sort of the shiftiness that JJ has or that AJ had. But he has that, I can come barreling straight down a line and I'm going to light you up.
I don't want to pit my two teammates together, but I feel like he could outrun Wilson.
He could outrun Wilson, but he couldn't outplay Wilson.
Oh yeah, 100%. Wilson's been playing for years. There's no competitor. There's no competition there. But
and honest to God, in a perfect world, Wilson would be my 8-man. He wouldn't be a back.
I was gonna say he's built like a forward.
So, but because of the skill sets that we have, I have to use him at 10. And he plays 10. He's outstanding at it. But you can see there's times where
he's one of those versatile players. You can kind of put him wherever you need him.
He gets frustrated because he wants to be there with the big boys smashing people. But then he has to remember, I've got to be the guy that's keeping everything flowing through this game. Because my 9 and my 10 are my playmakers that get the ball moving for everybody else. They're the ones that create the excitement for what the game of rugby is.
Right. But yeah, I'm excited, guys. So we usually wrap up every episode with a couple confessions. I found like a nice rugby one, some scenarios. But before we get onto that, just keep reminding you guys, September 23rd, go to Phoenix Storm Rugby's, our Instagram page. Join the boot camp. See what it is for yourself. All right. Don't make all these preconceived notions like, oh, I can't do this, whatever. We got a nice little lunch set up afterwards. We always do. Meet everyone, chit chat. It's like a lighthearted space, but you will get a realistic expectation of like what to expect at the beginning. All right. It is super fun though. I will say that it was a really good time last year.
Everybody, I want to stress that. I don't care what you think your athletic ability is. I don't care what you think your age range is. I'm 50 years old and I just retired.
Yep.
We've got people who are coming in that are 18 years old that are playing. We have guys that are still 47, 48 that are playing.
And it'll
come
fuck
out,
you up
get the
too.
experience, get around some people, do something a little bit different for the day. It might not be your favorite thing to do, but at the end of the day, hey, we're gonna have some Gatorade and some burgers and hamburgers that we're cooking for you, a bunch of treats, and it's
It's
free
a
to
good
you.
time.
It's free.
It is a good time. And if you got, and if you know, if you think, if you have a little ego about you and you think you can outplay a couple gay boys, come prove it. Show us what you got. You know, you got a little internalized homophobia and you want to shake that off. Come show us what you got. I promise you, you'll be humbled. You will be humbled. But let's start with here. I have a rugby scenario I read, and I didn't seem to understand it. This girl said, while playing rugby, a girl on the other team got mad at me in the ruck and grabbed my sports bra through my jersey and pulled it up my back and over my head. I flashed. Basically, I flashed the entire sideline. The fans only stood in one spot. It happened to be the exact spot they were standing in. I was hot and sweaty, and we wear the tight fit jerseys. So while running, I couldn't even get the jersey and bra down. My teammate, also my roommate, had to stop playing because he was laughing at me so hard. This was from a embarrassing sports confessions. Um, have you ever seen? Have you ever had like a female player on the team?
So no, I've never played co-ed rugby.
Even though girls are welcome into.
No,
No?
not in the men's league. Absolutely.
Oh,
not.
really?
So
I thought the all-inclusive women were welcome also. No?
we will welcome the women to come and play. We are still a men's team,
Okay.
And it's open. I don't care if you're transgender. I don't care how you relate. If you're there to play rugby, then I'm going to figure out how to get you to be the best player that you can be.
Make you effective.
But as far as like when my daughter comes out, yes, I'll allow her to practice with us, but she is never going to step on that field against another man. When you're young, that age group like Ellie and Jack,
It doesn't matter.
those kids, they're so young still. It doesn't matter. They're all still the same age level, the same skill level. But as you start to get older, my daughter Savannah, she's a wrecking ball against high school girls. She's no comparison for a male, and in the league that we play in Southwest Rugby, we are in the men's union, so we would love to have women come out so that we could put together a team and have a women's team so that we could play rugby, and a lot of people say, well, you guys are you put this IGR together because you want rugby to be gay. This was going on way before
we
the
came
Pride
around.
months were going on, before gay was really out there. The Bingham Cup is something that happened because of 9/11. All these things that are out there for the community. The one thing about rugby that you can look at, the best referee to ever ref rugby was a gay man. And he was respected by every single man that stepped on
Because
that pitch.
it don't fucking in sports. I think the people who complain about these things are people who've never played sports. Because if you play sports, you sort of understand, like, a lot of these athletes don't really care. Like, you come in, you're good, you're effective, they don't give a shit. It's all politics. It's all people watching from the sideline, fans, people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I'm sorry, like, I really do think, there are a lot of things women are equal to men, women can be equal to men. But for the most part, like, we're talking sports, right? It really has to be on a sports by sports basis.
Right.
It's not every fucking sport. Like, if you look at Formula One racing, there have been some very successful female drivers.
Right.
But the problem is there's not a lot of females who want to
Exactly.
to do it. So you're not going to see that pool. So sometimes I think people for political reasons will just like force that shit down your throat. And then next thing you know, you're the first woman to play the sport. And now you're playing like shit. And people are using you as the scapegoat to why women can't, because you haven't had the generations to practice. Like women,
Right.
How long was it before women are even allowed to read? I'm sure the first woman who can read wasn't that good, and then men were like, "Oh shit, this bitch can't read." But the problem is, men have been allowed to read for generations, so they have generations of practice.
Well, and I think that's also kind of a cultural thing.
Yeah,
Different cultures. Because what is it here? And I'm sorry that I can't remember the exact time. What was it? Women couldn't vote here in the United States until
like what, the 20s, 30s, some shit like that.
1918, I think it was, in Wyoming.
Yeah,
Was
some
when
shit
the
like
first
that.
women could vote. I mean, so women, and I'm going to tell you this right now: go watch a women's rugby match. They
We
play the
did. We
game
went
better.
to LA. We went to LA to watch the sevens. my favorite match, it was like everybody had like we had watched so many matches, everybody had pretty much left, but I think it was like me, Marcus, and maybe Wilson and like a couple other people had like stayed behind to watch. I think it was like Japan versus like New Zealand or something like that, or Japan. Long story short, I have those Japanese women are the most vicious I have ever seen. They lost the fucking match, sadly, but when I tell you I've never seen fucking people get like hit so hard. And one girl was like bleeding, like she was like bleeding. She had to get like stretchered out, but she didn't want to stop. She was like, she hit some girl on the sideline, like on at the back right corner of the field. Next thing you know, she's like bleeding and stumbling and still wanting to run. And I'm like, yo, these women are fucking savages. I'm
But
not doing
if
shit.
you watch the women play, just like the Scottsdale Sevens that just happened, we had some women's teams out there that were playing.
Yeah,
But if you watch, the college girls, you just watch women in general play rugby, they played the game exactly right. They tackle correct. They get their hips down. They play the game the way it's supposed to be played because they don't have the big egos
the
that
guys
men
do.
do. Men think that, oh, here I am, I'm 250 pounds. I'm just going to blow over this 180-pound person.
Yeah, not.
Now, do the women run into smaller players sometimes? Yes, but they still play it in a way that where they're not trying to kill people. They're trying to play the game the way the game is meant to be played, and they
Yeah,
play it perfectly.
my ego was my downfall when we first started that season. I said, look at me, 6'4" basketball player. I could do this. Fuck the ACL. No, but yeah, it's like I use the WNBA. Like the WNBA has only been around since like '96.
Right.
That's literally one generation entering the second generation of like women playing, and people are like, oh, they're not that good, whatever. Have you guys seen the first 20 years of the NBA? If you put me back with my ACL, with my fucking hamstring, you put me back the first 20 years of the NBA, I promise you I would look like fucking Jordan. With all my dog shit, like all my dog shit injuries and shit like that, I would look like fucking Jordan because they couldn't fucking play for shit. They
Oh,
couldn't play for shit, and those are only the years we could record it that black and white. It's only because like they had still been playing prior to that. So you guys give women a generation, and now look at how they play. I promise you, you take Brittany Griner and throw her back in the first 10 years of the
well,
NBA, whatever, she would be like fucking Kobe.
you take that young lady. What's her name? Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, yeah. Caitlin Clark,
Come
Angel
on,
Reese,
that
like
girl is.
Angel Reese is triple doubling everyone, and she's like what 5'10"?
Yeah.
She's like
What
5'10", 5'11".
and what was it? What is that league called? The league that Ice Cube has. The
Yeah.
3-on-3 league.
Oh yeah, I don't watch that shit.
Well,
I don't.
it's
I know what
old,
you're talking about, but I
but
don't watch it.
it's
It's
older
in the
players
Olympics
that
now.
go and play the 3-on-3
Yeah.
basketball.
It's like
And
you
I
have to be
can't remember,
retired.
but he offered for her to. He was like, "Hey, if you don't want to go to the WNBA, we'll give you $10 million to come and play in this league."
I think she still gets paid. She will.
And
She will get paid more.
and I look at this young lady. A lot of these young girls out here should look at this girl because she's proud of what she does. She holds herself up. She plays the game right, but she also believes in herself enough that she sticks up for herself,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is huge. And I think that's a problem with a lot of people nowadays, is everybody thinks that they deserve to have something.
No, but you don't deserve. Again, we've talked about on the show. You don't deserve shit.
No, I mean, and it happens in all phases of life. There's people that are meant to work at Walmart. There's people that are meant to be carpenters. There's people that are meant to be bankers. Not everybody is meant to be the president of the United States.
Yep.
So what you need to do is find where you're good at, and then figure out a way in yourself
To
to be the best
maximize
at
that and maximize it. You could be good at more than one thing. But
exactly.
yeah, so yeah, just a long story short, guys. Give women the same chance and time frame like y'all have given men. Like before you start judging them, and put it on like, give them a realistic time frame because they've excelled. Women now, at least in rugby and basketball, way better than the men were at their time because when they were first starting out versus now, they have generations of people to monitor and mirror and practice off of. Like we got all this information, so
if you look at the Olympics, just what happened this last season, the USA rugby women's
France
team,
won.
No, I'm talking about the women. They
The
took
women's
the
team.
bronze. But if you look at that team, what happens if they happened to be in the other pool? There's a chance that they were going for silver and gold, But the women, the way that they did it in a way that nobody was expecting the U.S. players to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have people here playing rugby from the time that they're born, running around with a rugby ball unless you grow up in a family that's rugby oriented.
Like
So a lot
your
of these
daughter,
kids,
your daughter is like fucking star. Like the few times we've seen her play, I'm like, damn. It's
she's,
like, geez.
but she grew up in a household
Yeah, but she
where
grew up in that household.
I've got pictures of her 3 years old sleeping in her bed, not with a teddy bear, with a rugby ball. She would go to bed with the rugby ball, and
Okay.
it's taken some time to get her to the place where she's at. And I didn't know if she was going to be good or not. And there happened to be an injury. She got stuck into the game. It was her first match. And I was supposed to be coaching. And I just looked at the other coach. I go, Ted, I got to have a dad moment here. You got to coach these girls. I can't be involved anymore.
Dude.
And I had to cheer because she knocked my socks off. I was like, hey, that's my daughter.
Yeah.
And she's always worried about, well, Dad, they only think that I'm good because of you. I'm like, it has nothing to do with me. I'm not making those tackles. I'm not the one scoring those tries. I'm not the one out there doing the stuff that you're doing that nobody expected you to do. So I think with how sports are, you don't really know how good you can be until you get out there and do it. Yeah. And if you fail, don't give up. Go out, train your ass off, and come back.
I didn't have anybody. I didn't have anybody coaching me in basketball because first of all, so Sudan's a British colony. British people don't play basketball. They just don't give a fuck about it. I'm sure they could play well if they do. They just don't care. Like you never see them in the Olympics. Nobody gives a fuck over there. So growing up, the only sports where I had like people to like actually train me was probably like tennis and soccer. Right. Outside of that, like basketball, I had to like train myself. Especially better the internet got, but I was able to get on YouTube and watch and practice and do all that.
Right.
My dad, the two sports he plays, soccer, show jumping, right, on horses. And I'm too fucking tall to be a show jumper.
You need some AC in here.
We have the AC, but it makes such a annoying noise. Like it's usually better. It's usually better when we're on the other side. But we're almost done wrapping up. We just have one more scenario. But I was just gonna say, like, there are some people who have that. Like I said, your daughter has access to a rugby encyclopedia, right, which is you, right? You're second generation. I assume your dad?
Yep, my dad
played.
Yeah,
your dad also played. You had access to that encyclopedia. Not all of us have access to that.
Right.
That sports encyclopedia. And like again, come to practice, gain knowledge for yourself because it's never too late. I never got good at basketball until I was like 19. I left the country, left Sudan, gone to Sydney, and I was playing with people who actually play basketball. And that's
Right.
when I started getting good. Like in Sudan, I was the tallest one. I was the tallest one on our team at like 6'4". I sprouted early. So while I was like 16, I was fully developed at 16. Like, I was tall as fuck. So people always made me play center. And I said, cool, I leave the country, I'm going to play center. For context, guys, Steph Curry is 6'3". Russell Westbrook is 6'4". Like, we're tiny motherfuckers. Like, I should be a guard. I had center skills in a guard body.
Right.
It made no fucking sense. So then now I had to relearn a whole set of skills. And then you come to the States, I had to relearn a whole set of skills.
Right.
So I was comfortable playing 2-3. Not really comfortable playing 1, but I was comfortable playing 2-3. Every now and then, if you needed me, I could, fill in for a smaller team, be the center, but that was about it. So it's never too late. Now look at me, first season of rugby, injury riddled, still have the ACL, still pissing me off. I was told I could start running again in October. They said mid-October you can start running again. And fingers crossed, hopefully I could be, somewhat useful in Rucktacular if we end up going to Frisco. I don't know what happens if the team gets invited or whatever it is. But last scenario, right? We're going to wrap this up. We had a great time. I really appreciate you coming through. But we had a question here. This one is a doozy. I came home from my second job and my unemployed live-in boyfriend and his 15-year-old son had a talk with me. They told me I needed to find a better job so that we could live in a better neighborhood. Like, the fuck? My boyfriend, I feel like you working all the time, but it doesn't add money to our situation. Me, you could work too. My boyfriend, work for what? You work 2 jobs and don't earn enough for us to live. Instead of 2 jobs, find one better paying job. Brackets, the dating pool is trash. The job market is trash. I love this man. I'm a proud Christian woman. Irrelevant. And I don't want to evict this man and his son just in time for winter. But something has got to give. What to do? Evict this man just for winter. I don't understand people in relationships. Like we have like quite a lot of relationship conversations. I think people are like too afraid of being alone.
See, and I
think for the most part, that was kind of my problem.
You were talking earlier about you think team sports are better than individual sports. I grew up in a household where my dad was the wrestling coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrestled. I didn't get to I didn't get to really choose it. I was just told I was going to do it, which thank God I did, because what I learned from wrestling is even though they try to make it a team sport by the way the scoring goes, it's you against another man out there on the
Yep.
mat. It's you that has to do the things. It's you that has to put in the work. It's a lonely sport to do, but in my normal life, because I had done that, I know that I could be alone. I know that if I needed to not have anyone around me, I could do it. Do I love what I have right now? Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. But if I had to be by myself, I could do it. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people is they think they have to have somebody to be successful
Oh
or
yeah.
they have to have somebody to be happy. A lot of people that are by themselves are as happiest people in the world.
But this woman, I just don't understand like what she has. I don't understand what. First of all, what being a proud Christian woman has to do with letting this man take advantage of you. Like,
Religion has nothing to do with it.
yeah, this man has done you. This man has done you dirty. You know, like shit.
And
But it baffles me that people were willing to put up with this just to be alone. Like, don't get me wrong, I love in my life, like I was for the most part a serial dater, and I love picking people up and like putting things together. I would love to be a coach, and like, honestly, if I could be a basketball coach, I would fucking love it, or like a trainer or something. I would fucking love it. I love to like pick people up. It was like the best, most satisfying part of my job when I got promoted is like seeing people who weren't hitting commission, weren't hitting numbers, on the edge of getting fired, and then helping pick them up, and now they're getting praised and they're making
right.
commission money, and just looking at seeing that smile on their face, just seeing somebody go. But in dating, like I just don't understand seeing somebody like miserable, getting taken advantage of. I couldn't let myself be in a situation like this. Like I had an interesting childhood to say the least, right? And this kind of reminds me of something like that, and I'm just like, sweetheart, you need to just break up with him. Like she doesn't have a good support system around her.
What she's first off, she's saying it's a relationship, and that's not what that
She didn't
is.
even said my husband.
But the relationship is two people working together coherently for one purpose. And what I'm hearing here is
She's doing all the work.
she's doing all the work and he's reaping the benefits and is upset now because there's not more benefits for him. So that's not a partnership. That is she's basically being this person's slave,
Yeah.
you know?
Like you're
So
not doing, hey, it's 2024 slavery, I guess. But
you
some people, I know for a fact, if Islam was working here, first thing he would have said, "You're the woman, why are you working?" And I don't have a problem with 50-50 relationships. Even 60-40, just contribute something,
right.
like just for your own sanity. It's got to be, especially if you don't have kids, it's got to be boring sitting at home. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand personally. Like, even if, even in gay relationships, I just couldn't sit at home and do nothing. I don't
Right.
care if you got like 50 million shit. I give me a $40,000 a year job just to keep me just to keep me, keep the spark going. But, sweetheart, this is not even get you, if you want to work two jobs, do you? But this is kind of trash. You need to get you, he's got a 15-year-old son too. The son is too grown. Where's the baby mama? Yeah, it hurts to read shit like this. But yeah, break up with him, sweetheart. But yeah, it's great having you on, Coach Chris. Do you have anything else you want to plug for any games you
Well,
want people to go to?
I a lot of stuff with the rugby that's going on. I encourage everybody get out, get moving, do the things that you need to do to stay healthy. Um, I definitely would love to see people come out with the storm. Um, I want to I want to really focus on that word inclusive. We welcome everybody. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what you've done in your life. Come out and be a part of this team. See what these guys have been doing. Help it grow. Help the sport of rugby in itself grow. And if I could leave you with just one thing to really take to heart is just to remember that your life is not your own.
Yep. So, website phoenixstormrugby.org, Instagram phoenixstorm at phoenixstormrugby. We'll have you go through the website. You have all the links, our calendar schedule. You see all our events. Tonight is I think I feel like I could release this tonight, but we'll see. If I release this tonight, we have Jello shots tonight on
Yep.
Saturday, September 7th. If we think we have Jello shots, we do them bi-weekly every month, so we won't have them the next week, but we'll have it the weekend after that. So whatever. Well, let me see the calendar. Oh, nothing. You know what? Fuck it. You guys are fucking adults. Go check it out yourself. We do them twice a month. This is the first one of the month. 2 weeks later, we'll have the second one. Come.
Yep.
They're pretty cheap too, and it is just a good time to meet and talk to the players. We have good merch. We have tank tops. We have shorts. Anything you don't want to play rugby, you don't want to run around, you too lazy to run around. That's fine. Just buy a shirt. We'll call it even. You know, we'll let you off the hook.
Exactly.
All right. Have a great day, guys.